There's so many monsters and so many weapons in this game, one couldn't be blamed for freezing up and having a little nappy by because the real world is already daunting with a million things to do. Now there's a video game that's giving you more tasks than a parent who lied about dinner being ready? Where do you even begin? Well, how about a sword so massive that swinging it around could mistake onlookers into thinking it's your mom doing cartwheels? Unrelated, is she Free Friday and does she like pathetic men? Welcome to a silly little guide to Monster Hunter. You want to deal more damage than a buff naked man in a floppy phallic wiggler helmet? Let me introduce you to the Greatsword, the most iconic weapon in Monster Hunter. Sure, you've got your long sword katana and your giant bow and hammer the size of a malnourished Texan, but any of those could be a weapon that fits in another game. When you see the Greatsword, it's unmistakable. Oh yeah, that's from Monster Hunter. This big old bastard of a blade is going to push your understanding of Monster Hunter combat so hard to their fullest points you could probably make a horny manga panel out of it. The reason being, the Greatsword is slow. And by slow, I mean fucking slow! So slow that if your rhythm is off, you may find by the time your sword hits the ground, the monster's already in another country having coffee and biscuits until it gets a whiff of your whiff and then promptly stuffs you into its lunchbox for seconds. The main attack you're going to be doing a majority of the time is the only thing the Greatsword ever does, and that's miss. Sorry, what you're gonna do is you're gonna miss. Wait, no, sorry, what I mean to say is you're gonna miss. Shit! I mean, you're going to miss. Fuck! It's the charged slash, performed by holding down the top face button. It can be attacked uncharged, but your main source of damage comes from charging up your slashes up to a total of 3 levels, each one dealing more damage than the last. But be wary of holding level 3 for too long, else the swing is going to release itself for a significantly less satisfying hit, which I'm sure plenty of subs have had bad experiences with after dealing with a Dom who takes far too much time in their build-up. This attack combos up to 3 times, with the third and final true slash having the first priority on being the wake-up attack on a sleeping monster. You are not entirely at the whims of your massive slab of metal, because the Greatsword is kinda like a typical goth in that it's fairly flexible once you get to know what their preferences are. During your swing, you can tap the right face button to shoulder bash out of your charge and immediately move on to the next swing in your combo, giving you hyper armor and just eating the incoming damage without flinching. Kinda like if that goth you're dating suddenly suggests some weird kinky stuff that you don't know if you're ready for but decide to push through it anyways. It's super useful if you see a roar or attack coming through but are already partway through a swing and are high on copium. But in the rare case that you do time it right, the sheer amount of raw aura you'll be farming will trick people into thinking the rest of your show is good. It also deals a little bit of exhaust damage, which means you can do cool things like this. Alternatively, if you feel as though it's not the time to slash or bash and instead get a little bit insecure, you can hold down both attack buttons to charge up a counter instead, called an offset attack. Kinda like being mentally prepared to break up with that hot goth even before they've agreed to anything, because you've just learned to expect disappointment. And if you haven't already, playing the Greatsword will definitely make you familiar. Look at me, I'm a Greatsword main. Miss, 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 miss. Those are the 2 main attacks you'll be doing for the majority of the fight, because literally nobody does the sideswipe. Are you kidding me? But there is one more technique, a maneuver lost to history and hidden behind the locked tomes in the Forbidden section of the Hunters Guild's deepest libraries. In times long past, every hunter used to be able to perform it, but as rust eats at metal, the knowledge of this skill fades as time endlessly marches onwards. It must only be used in the direst of circumstances, a last resort when all else fails. Quick Sheath is a must-have, and great whether you're bad at Greatsword or... well, let's be honest with ourselves here. It speeds up your sheathing, which you're going to be doing a lot. Critical Draw and Punishing Draw are good complements, the former adding affinity to your draw attack, and the latter adding a tiny little hammer on the tip of your sword so that you can do some bashing damage with your draw attack. Focus speeds up your charge rate so that you can swing faster, pretty useful as that's all you'll be doing. Some may suggest Charge Master, but do note, Charge Master is only useful if you use an elemental Greatsword. It won't up your raw damage, only your elemental attacks. If you want to lean more into the defensive, and why wouldn't you when you get to do this? Offensive Guard will buff your damage for a little while after a perfect block, and Guard Up will save you some stamina for when you miss your perfect block. Earplugs is great if you find yourself bad at bashing through monster roars, but if you claim to be Peppino Spaghetti and can bash through everything including Novas, Recovery Speed can help you get back that health you spent being an absolute Giga Chad. Or, if you don't mind a little bit of danger, Resentment bumps up your attack while the red bit of recoverable health is around. Counter-Strike is also good for giving you a damage boost anytime you bash through an attack that would knock you back. And if neither blocking nor bashing are your style and you prefer channeling your inner Dark Souls, Evade Extender and Window can get you into a better position and iframe through whatever you can't bash or block. In order to learn the Greatsword, you're going to have an extremely strong understanding of timing, spacing, wind-ups, and tells for every monster's attack in order to wield it properly. Every weapon is going to need you to get good, but most of the other weapons are going to require you to learn some specific skill and maneuver unique to their respective moveset. To be good at the Greatsword, on the other hand, is to be in tune with the monster, due to its immense slowness. You must know when to sheath, when to dodge, when to item, and when to prance. But should you take the painstaking time and misses, good lord, so many misses, in order to master the Greatsword, others will look at you with the same jealousy they'd get when you finally bag that hot goth, especially once they see how massive your damage numbers are. But just how massive are they? And now you know how to play the Greatsword. Have fun!